It's free agency weekend, as we talked about with Dave Bastel. Listen, there are some props available for you for free agency. There's some stuff that you might want to take a look at sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. They've been doing it right since 1997. They are Canada's sportsbook with the most competitive odds. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, easy to play, and easy to cash out. Join now to see all that sports betting has to offer. How much?
All.
That's right. sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That is sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. I asked Jesse and Steve to tell me, because there are a lot of free agents, like really good free agents available this year, to tell me which three free agents they're most excited about. Not for any particular reason other than you guys are excited about them because of the storylines associated. So we'll start. We'll do it a round at a time. This isn't a 3-2-1. It's just tell me who you're interested in. Whose story are you interested to follow, Steve, on Wednesday?
I'm going to do a slash because to me they're one and the same. Jack Campbell / Darcy Kemper.
Okay.
Because that it dictates everything else that happens in free agency. If I had to pick one, I'll say Kemper because we don't know where he's going.
Interesting.
And with Jack Campbell, we do.
Okay, Jesse.
Evander Kane.
Oh,
I think to me, this is the most interesting storyline of this offseason because we could see a team sign Evander Kane this offseason, and then a man who's a judge who's been on vacation for 2 months come back and say, no, this player, Evander Kane, is property of the San Jose Sharks, and now there must be compensation going back to that team or whatever deal they want to do. And retroactively, we get some weird deal with two GMs negotiating Evander Kane's rights. To me, this is crazy.
They're going to throw that. They have to throw that out the window. They cannot enforce that.
How is this still not solved?
Who even has the leverage there? Let's pick a team at random. The Dallas Stars.
Sure.
So let's say he signs a deal with the Dallas Stars.
Okay.
Does San Jose hold the leverage? Because, well, actually, he's technically ours, so you owe us whatever we want? Or, well, how does that work?
So what I've heard is that they would, if it says the Stars, they would work out a deal with the Sharks beforehand, before signing that contract. So depending on whatever the arbitrator decides, there's already something in place.
Weird.
So it would be like, okay, arbitrator says this, hit option 1. Arbitrator says this, hit option 2. And then that's what's going to happen in terms of the signing and the compensation going back to the San Jose Sharks.
If his stock has gone up, you got to imagine the Sharks are going to... First of all, financially, the Sharks are going to get smashed. It's going to be bad for them money-wise, but in terms of an asset, you were talking about the best goal scorer of these past playoffs.
So it could be like, hey, arbitrator says Kane should have been on the Sharks all along. The contract is honored. Here's a second round pick to the Sharks, whoever signs him, something like that. I don't know.
I don't know if Edmonton gets him, which they apparently, according to Insider Tim Peel, he said they offered him a 4-year, $9 million per.
What? Actually?
Yeah, that's what he tweeted out. He said that he has sources telling him. I didn't.
Did anybody corroborate
Nobody
that?
has corroborated that.
Okay.
To give you an idea of how much money that is, Friedge and Merrick on their post-draft show speculated 4 times 9 for Evgeni Malkin.
That's we'll get there, aren't we? He's on my list.
Okay. Yeah, Evander Kane, quite simply, is the most complicated, and it will be a precedent-setting move because no player's ever been in this position. You're right, Jesse.
And we could all he could sign, and then the arbitrator comes back and says, no, San Jose had every right to void the contract. He was an idiot. That could also be the case.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I went completely second and third line guy on this. And that's because the big names are getting the most of the oxygen. Obviously, we just talked about Gaudreau. We talked about Chuck Fletcher and D'Angelo. We talked about Kadri. We talked about all those things. What about Vinnie Trocheck?
That's a good one.
Vinnie Trocheck, who can play center, who is strong defensively, is a pain in the ass to play against, 20 goals a year, 50 points a year. I feel like that's a Daryl Sutter type player, but I want to know where this guy ends up because I think any team that gets him instantly gets better, and I think he makes you much better in the playoffs. He's a half a point a game guy for sure, but I think Vinnie Trocheck to me, what's that?
You need those.
You do need those. He's 29, a center, normal size, 5'10", 183 pounds.
Average.
I wonder.
Small side of average.
I wonder if the Leafs are kind of eyeing him too. Because if you are moving Tavares to the wing, he's got to be somewhat of a cost-effective option. $5 million? You think for a guy like that?
Trocheck centering Tavares and Nylander. LMAO.
Be at least 2/3 strong defensively.
It'd be pretty fun. It'd be pretty
Just
fun.
a thought. Okay, so next one, Steve.
Another slash, but this one also makes sense. Don't laugh at me. Joe Thornton / Zdeno Chara.
Oh,
And
okay.
not for where they're going to sign, but for where they potentially won't, which is anywhere. Two guys drafted in the 90s, still going in their 40s. One has his cup and could probably just retire and ride off into the sunset and, be the most appreciated player in Slovakian hockey history. We saw he had that message for Juraj Slafkovsky.
Yeah.
Zdeno Chara
cool.
might finally be retiring. Super cool. And Joe Thornton, though, does he still want one last crack at winning the cup? And is anyone willing to give it to him?
Probably not.
Yeah.
We've thought that for several years now.
Jesse, your pick.
Evgeni Malkin, the word out of Pittsburgh right now is that the negotiations are getting contentious and bleak.
We had heard that they were getting better.
And they are not happy with each other because Malkin wants a bunch of years and a bunch of monies, and Brian Burke's sitting there saying, no.
He deserves it.
But at 35 years old, I think he'll be 36 by the time the season starts. If I'm not mistaken, I might have his birth date wrong. But
I think you're right because he was drafted the year before Crosby.
there you go. So 36 by the time the season gets underway, and he wants 4 years times $9 million. They just gave a bunch of money to Chris Letang. Penguins don't want to do this at all at the number that Malkin wants. And we could see one of the longest marriages in hockey that's still going break up this offseason. I think that's fascinating.
Jeez.
Also, some other team might come in and give him all of that cash and might regret it immensely. But we'll see.
What if I think it might come down to Sid going, Gino, come on.
You think so? Do you think he has that kind of pull with him?
If Sid told me to do something, I'd do it.
Okay. All right.
Gino,
Come
on.
In keeping with my theme, and again, I've got both eyes on the Carolina Hurricanes this offseason because Don Waddell is ruthless. You saw the kind of thievery that he pulled with Tony DeAngelo, and everybody's like, well, the picks are 2 years in advance. Like, who cares? They got a 101st pick, and then he got a third next year and a second. No. Don Waddell's using that as trade capital, guys. That's not those picks. If those picks ever get picked by Carolina, I'd be shocked. He is using that at the trade deadline to pick up somebody else. Is he going to re-sign another great player on his team, Nino Niederreiter? Nino Niederreiter has played 11 seasons and he's 29. He is
Most fun name to say.
No, absolutely, El Nino. And he just scored a goal below his career height. So 24 goals, 20 assists, 44 points. He is good for half a point a game again, but I feel like this is the kind of player that they really come through for you in the playoffs. You want them to be on your team in the playoffs. If you have a guy like him on your third line, you probably have a Stanley Cup roster. And I feel like, do the Leafs not have issues on the wing in certain ways? I know it's the left wing, but
Well, oh yeah, let's do that. Everyone's
Couldn't
going
you?
to the Leafs.
He's a right winger, but couldn't you?
Everyone's going to the Leafs.
Could you not? Yeah, we absolutely have to do that.
No, it's we're
Listen,
obligated. People would think less of us if we didn't.
If you remember, Blake Coleman's signing was big last year, but it did kind of fly under the radar a little bit. I feel like you got to watch these guys because they make a big splash when it matters. I know you guys are kind of laughing at me because I'm not picking any of the big names.
No, I'm not laughing at you.
You're sort of laughing.
I'm not laughing.
I'm telling you. All right, next pick.
I have a question, Jesse.
Uh-huh.
There was a Hockey DB page on your screen.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your guy?
Nazem Kadri?
Well, I was gonna keep it under.
It's not my guy.
Oh,
No.
it's not your guy?
No,
well,
no,
in
no.
that case, I'll go with Nazem Kadri.
Okay. I said it because it wasn't my guy.
Well, I didn't want to shaft you.
No, that's fair.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. So, yeah, you're welcome. But I'm doing it anyway. So, Nazem Kadri, best center available. And this reminds me of the summer of Brad Richards.
Mm.
This dude, no, and I'm not saying that as an insult to Kadri, although that ended up not being a very good signing. Rangers got pretty far with him. I want to say he was part of that team that went to the final in 2014, but
He was.
Kadri's going to get a ton of money. It doesn't, like, there's no consensus for where he's going to go at all.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard Philly, we've heard the Islanders, we've heard he's going to go back to the Avalanche. And the reason he's so important isn't just that. Do you remember who the Leafs got to play center for $4.5 million for 2 seasons?
Tim Connolly.
Because they didn't get Brad Richards. It was Tim Connolly. So people are going to get paid based on Kadri's number. Right?
Vinnie Trocheck.
He could potentially get paid based on Kadri's number. And all these players in the league have got to be like, give me Naz's number. Hey, Naz, don't take a discount. For the love of God, don't take a discount. You're spending my money, asshole. Sign for as much money as possible. That's how I see it.
Jesse.
I'm going to go a little off the board. I think people are forgetting that this man is a free agent and that his signing will be very interesting because we're going to see what team and what role he thinks his career is at. PK Subban.
Oh,
that's a fascinating one.
He
You're
is
right.
a UFA, and where he signs at what number will be fascinating for the storylines in his career moving forward. This is a former Norris Trophy winner who has destroyed his career through exercise. His back is gone. His skating has diminished greatly, and he hasn't adjusted his play really to play in a new style. Him signing this offseason will be the biggest indicator of where his career is headed. This is the first time PK is signing a deal since the famous Montreal, here's a bunch of millions of dollars contract.
Jeff Molson calling Mark Bergevin and saying, sign him now.
Yep. That contract has finally expired right now. On Wednesday, it has finally expired, and we get to see the next phase of his career. I am going to be following this closely because it will be fascinating.
Could be a humbling experience. Or could get super overpaid.
Right.
I guess we'll see.
And speaking of super overpaid, I love the player. You're going to hate the contract, Andre Palat. Andre Palat is going to be a really interesting one. He's coming off one where he's making $5.3 million. You saw him get 11 goals in the playoffs, and there's going to be a lot of teams on the cusp of making it there, getting there. And they're going to look at this guy and go, well, he helped Tampa get good players, great players. Kucherov, Stamkos there. Can he do it for us?
Easily the most maddening signing on Wednesday. Actually, it could be today or tomorrow. Is going to be when he takes less to stay in Tampa.
Yeah, no kidding. But if he doesn't,
League man.
If the Oilers swing and miss on Kane and Giroux, that's when I got my eyes on. Palat and Hyman on your wings?
You know what's going to suck? When the Oilers win the Cup with 4 former Leafs.
It might be. I don't know. I like those mid-range deals because we always used to say this. $5 million contracts kill your team. Look at a team with a bunch of $5 million contracts, and I will show you a terrible hockey team. Look at the Flyers. They have a ton of $5 million contracts. They're garbage.
You know what's funny is it can also save your team. It just depends who you sign to them. Right? Because now that because remember, $8 million when we originally said that when the
was
podcast
like the top
started,
you can make.
It's like the top you can make. And now we have a bunch of guys in the double digits or pressing up on the double digits. Now it's signing those double digit guys to like 6.5, 7, 8.
Still, what's a $5 million player even now?
Apparently Jack Campbell and Ilya Mikheyev. On the open market, like that's
bananas.
Yeah, people forget about what free agency is.
Yeah.
It's supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
It's supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
Is Jack Campbell like you're gonna see a goalie out there and you're gonna be like, what the hell? This goalie is better than Jack Campbell. Why does Jack Campbell make more money than this goalie? Well, Campbell hit free agency and I bet the other guy didn't. Or the other guy signed a deal many years ago.
Yep.
This is how it works. So who's gonna get overpaid? Almost everyone. That's how it works. Teams who do most of their business in free agency tend to not succeed.
Who's going to beat? Is there anybody in there that you're watching? Because, again, I'm a huge fan of Palat and the way he plays. I think he's going to get overpaid. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's UFA overpaid, and then there's overpaid, holy shit, by, what was the 2016 or 2017 free agency class where everybody was a swing and a miss?
Disaster.
That was Okposo and
Filppula and Brouwer and friggin'
Islanders had one of them.
Ladd, I want to say.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of really bad ones.
Yeah, not Okposo's fault. There were some health issues there. But everybody else, you kind of go, holy smokes, that was bad. Yeah. There's going to be some of that this year.